Illinois lawmakers return to Springfield for the legislature's veto session in just under 3 weeks. One question they'll face is whether to extend the Invest in Kids Act scholarship program, allowing nearly 10,000 kids throughout the state to attend private schools. Max Cotton explains the program and how ending it could affect families.
I really need these scholarships.
If there was one theme from Monday night's Save Our Scholarship rally in Springfield, it was...
I'm nervous.
Ann Story is nervous because she doesn't know where her 3 kids are going to go to school next year. The Springfield single mom is able to put her kids through private school with the help of a scholarship.
It has made private school education more accessible for my children.
That money could go away if the state doesn't extend the Invest in Kids Scholarship Tax Credit program. Created in 2017, it allows people to donate to private school scholarship funds and get a tax credit up to 75% of their donation. The state caps credits at $75 million annually. It's set to sunset after this year.
Our mission thrives on donations, and Invest in Kids is a donation program with incentives. It allows us to live our mission one way or another.
Carlson fears for his school since those donations could dry up if tax credits go away.
It would be incredibly difficult for us to fulfill our mission of affordable tuition on the east side of Springfield as a Catholic micro school without this program.
Whether the program continues is up to lawmakers. Illinois Senate GOP leader John Curran says he believes Invest in Kids is a success and legislators should stop playing political games with the nearly 10,000 kids receiving scholarships.
Ideology has no place in this space when we're talking about successful outcomes for children in the educational arena.
Curran says if House and Senate leaders put legislation extending the program to a vote during the upcoming veto session, he expects it to pass. In Springfield, Max Cotton, WGEM News.
And we reached out to both House and Senate Democrats, but nobody was available for an interview today.